So what is going on, guys? I am Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another video on the channel where today we are going to be focusing on Black Ops 4 Zombies. What went wrong with that game, because we've recently had some leaked information to do with a Zombies campaign, Zombies maps. I suppose you could also say the opposite, and in fact this is what went right with Black Ops 4 Zombies. It is subjective depending on whether you like that game or not, but what isn't subjective is the leaks that we've had about that game. Now, at the time of me recording this video, these leaks came out about a week ago. They were posted on the Reddit page. Since then, as you can see, that post has been taken down, which proves, and this isn't the only thing that we have, but this basically proves that it was real. I don't know 100% if it was taken down by Activision themselves, but I'm assuming it was. However, as soon as this information was released, it's been talked about by a load of different people, a load of different articles, Charlie Intel, IGN. Most of the information that we were told was to do with Black Ops 4 scrap campaign, but a little bit was to do with zombies. And well, I wanted to talk about it because, one, to me this is really interesting. BO4 Zombies particularly has always been a controversial game. I don't think I've ever seen it in anyone's number one. It's usually down the bottom in people's tier lists, for some at the bottom, but for me it's always been around about in the middle. It was probably the last Zombies game from Treyarch that I really liked. It was also the point where I would say from Black Ops 4 and before, the Zombies community, from what I noticed, was kind of together. People weren't arguing, there weren't really many differences in opinions, which isn't a bad thing, but I did notice towards the end of BO4, or after that, especially with Cold War and Vanguard, the community has been split and a lot of people have been at war with each other, which for me is one of the reasons why Black Ops 4, as I said, was one of the last good Zombies games that we've had in quite a while. Not to say Black Ops Cold War is bad, I think it's okay. Vanguard's bad, but even though, yes, it had a ton of problems, overall, I quite liked BO4 Zombies. I don't know about you guys, where would you rank it? Let me know in the comment section below, but this was the reason I wanted to make this video, was because there definitely wasn't something right about this game. Whether it be the fact that it is the only Call of Duty to not have a campaign, that was a strange decision. That obviously affects a ton of different things. No campaign means more time to work on the multiplayer and zombies portion of the game, and even Blackout. We'll delve more into that. And the question I've always had is, well, why was the campaign scrapped? I always thought it was kind of strange that Treyarch always denied that there was even a campaign in Black Ops 4 in the first place. When that game first released years ago, there were leaks and rumours that it was supposed to have a campaign, but Treyarch always denied it. They said it never existed. Leaks aren't always right, but I think we can safely say, and it has been confirmed by other developers now, that Treyarch were lying. There was a campaign. So with that little intro out of the way, as I was saying, this article has since been taken down. It was put up 7 days ago. That is one of the reasons how we know all of the information in here was real, but also some Treyarch developers came out and actually tweeted, waking up to people talking about the BO4 campaign. This developer is Kevin Drew, and he then says, "Silver lining is I got to work on zombies full time since I quite enjoyed that." So basically Kevin, who, if you follow my channel, will know who this guy is, was one of the original developers who worked on Black Ops 4's campaign. It got scrapped, and since then he moved over to the zombies portion, and I assume that's what he's done ever since he is now the lead developer of Treyarch's next game in 2023, the zombies portion of that. I don't know if he was the lead developer of zombies in Cold War, but he was definitely higher up. So if BO4's campaign never got scrapped, there is a chance that perhaps Kevin would never work on zombies. He wouldn't have worked on BO4 or Cold War zombies. And then another Treyarch developer said, "When I got rehired to work on the campaign, I remember being really impressed that you guys have managed to get such a challenging design to work while I was gone." It got cut the next day. The bright side is that the team was given the opportunity to experiment with some really unique designs at all. A lot of AAA is incredibly risk averse, so just getting the chance to do something like that was a small victory. Now, as for why it was removed, we've always wondered this, we'll get onto in just a second, but a little bit of information about what it was going to be. The leak told us Black Ops 4's original campaign was called Korea. It was scoped to be a 2v2 race to finish mode. The mode was scrapped in early 2018 due to technical issues, and the overall gameplay loop being described as too repetitive, on top of the title being set to release a month earlier, which was October 2018. Outside of that, there's very little knowledge in the public for how this mode would have played. What we also know is it would have been pretty much a continuation of Black Ops 3's campaign. Hearing that, I'm not too disappointed that it was cut, because Black Ops 3's campaign was one of the worst in the series, if not the worst. Yes, I know there's the whole deeper meaning to it, you have to pay attention to understand, but as far as just simple gameplay went, because it's a video game, it just wasn't fun. The story was interesting if you wanted to pay that much attention, but a lot of people don't. I think that's more suited towards the zombies aspect. I guess the overall word I would use is fun. I didn't find BO3's campaign fun, and hearing the reasons why BO4's campaign was scrapped was due to technical issues and the overall gameplay loop being described as too repetitive, which I also thought BO3 was, it sounds like it was just going to be a another version of BO3's campaign, a continuation of what we got in that, with obviously a different storyline being told. So I can't say I'm all too disappointed that it was scrapped, and this also does mean, because there was no campaign in Black Ops 4, because it was scrapped quite early on, at the beginning of 2018, the game didn't come out until late 2019, so about a year and a half later. That meant that that full year and a half, all of those developers that would have spent a year and a half working on the campaign were then moved to different portions, such as multiplayer, zombies, and Blackout. That meant that those three modes then got more, I guess, attention than what they usually would have. And that's extremely noticeable with zombies. Black Ops 4 Zombies has the most amount of maps that we've ever had. On day one we had 4. It could be that one of the reasons why we had so many zombies maps in BO4 was because there was no campaign, which meant more attention on the zombies mode. So yeah, maybe if you enjoyed BO3's campaign and thought it was really good and that it deserved a sequel, perhaps you're disappointed, but I think for the most part, scrapping that meant that there was more focus on zombies multiplayer and Blackout, and just for the zombies portion, because we got 4 maps on day one alone, it was probably worth it. I think it was the right thing to do. And talking about zombies, we do also have some scrapped information about that mode as well, because as with any video game, not everything makes it into the final product. And well, would you know it, there was supposed to be a zombies campaign in Black Ops 4, very similar to what we saw in BO3, which was called Nightmares. The one in this game was going to be called Zombies Next, and the leak tells us Korea also had plans for zombies content, which would have been a sequel to Black Ops 3's Nightmares mode. The matches would have taken place on the Korea maps and utilised classic zombies AI alongside some special enemies such as Brutus and the Panzer Soldat. A fair amount of these concepts were moved to Black Ops Cold War's Outbreak. Nightmares experience had 2 primary game modes, one of them being similar to Grief, but on a larger scale with 2 teams attempting to complete objectives as fast as possible, and the other was a 6-player survival experience. Not quite a zombies campaign that we've all been asking for since the beginning, but it was basically Nightmares V2 with 2 different game modes, one being an alternate version of Grief, which, interestingly, this concept, or at least some of it, was actually implemented in Black Ops Cold War's Outbreak, and the other mode in Nightmares was going to be 6-player survival. Again, Nightmares in BO3 is, let's be honest, not very good, but at the end of the day, it really is just the BO3 campaign reskin, so what would you expect? This does sound like it would have been a more improved version of that, so maybe it would have been worth it, but it got cut. There were also a few other things as well, such as custom game modes. The leak says, currently known as Zombies Custom Mutations in Black Ops 4, the entire system was repurposed from Korea. A part of the skirmish mode was the ability to tweak the core fundamental gameplay settings to create your own campaign experience, setting different modifiers and settings to change the experience. For example, you could enable 4v4 gameplay or disable some, if not all, abilities. Spawn systems, health, objectives, and so on could be tweaked manually. It's not fully known how many settings there were, but the number is likely in the hundreds. This was merely an extra mode for people who finished the main career story. However, there were plans to release official Treyarch custom game modes with progression enabled throughout the season post-launch. In a way similar to what we did get in the end product, but also some vastly different stuff. To me, neither of that is a massive miss, just from what I want from zombies, but what is super interesting is we also got a list of all of the DLC content for Zombies in BO4, but interestingly, DLC 3 and DLC 4 aren't what we would have expected. One, because if we look at this list, DLC 4 isn't listed. You might think, Eli, okay, this doesn't mean anything, but usually what Treyarch do is plan the whole DLC season out before the game's even released. So for them to not have DLC 4 listed on here as content they'd release throughout the season is kind of strange. It might not be a big thing, but what you will notice is DLC 3 is actually listed as Russia. However, DLC 3 in Zombies for BO4 was Alpha Omega, which takes place in, well, it's not Russia, it's America. DLC 4 we know was Siberia, that's Tagdo-Toten. DLC 2 was actually Ancient Evil, which takes place in Greece. Funnily enough, on this list, it's Morocco. So apparently DLC 2 was supposed to take place in Morocco. DLC 1 is listed as England, which is what Dead of the Night was. But the big one is DLC 3 was supposed to be Russia, when DLC 3 was actually Alpha Omega. DLC 4 was Russia, or Siberia. Siberia is a Russian province, so perhaps that's what they could have meant. DLC 3 was actually supposed to be Tagdo-Toten, and then as for what DLC 4 was supposed to be, we don't know because it isn't listed. That does tell me that maybe Alpha Omega was never supposed to be a map, because I can't imagine that being DLC 4. For me, that just doesn't fit the ending of the Ether timeline. It isn't a big enough map, it isn't climactic enough. It just would have been a very disappointing end to Ether if DLC 4 was Alpha Omega. So perhaps DLC 4 was supposed to be a different map. It should have been something different entirely, or maybe when they put this list out, they just had no idea what it would have been. But yeah, there we go. We finally have some clarity as to what went on behind the scenes with BO4, the reason why we never had a campaign, which also leads on to as to why we got so many zombies maps compared to usual, because the team working on the campaign was then taken to other projects, such as zombies. That has also changed the way that zombies has been ever since BO4, because we now have campaign developers permanently working on zombies because of what happened in that game. It's all quite interesting. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.